Hello there, Babs and Babbets, and I have returned from my transatlantic voyage on the Queen Mary 2, and I just wanted to give some of my thoughts, and also to defend the Queen Mary 2 against some of the other reviews that I have so far seen since the pandemic ended and the cruise industry started back up. Let's get into it. The Opinion Corner. We sailed on the Queen Mary 2 during her transatlantic crossing from the 28th of August up until the 5th of September. And my goodness, was it good to be back on the Queen Mary 2, the last ocean line in the world, unique in the world of shipping and the cruise industry in general. What needs to be definitely said is that she is not a cruise liner. She is designed as an ocean liner. There are many differences between the two, but one of them would be the fact that she can sail through the North Atlantic storms, whereas other cruise ships would have to divert or possibly even cancel their voyage. Now, I have noticed since the ending of the pandemic that there have been many reviews about the Queen Mary 2 on YouTube. A lot of them seem to be quite disparaging in some ways, and even criticising the crew themselves. I want to give my 2 piece into this, or my 2 pennies I should say. Now, I do have a slight bias when it comes to Cunard. I will admit that now, Babs and Babbets, just in case you accuse me of it later. Obviously, at my desk, there is one portrait here, and that is of Samuel Cunard, the founder of the line. But for this review, I'm going to try and put biases aside a little bit and try and gain a perspective from my other fellow passengers that I ended up talking to about this very subject and try to gain why they felt the way they did. Going up to the Queen Mary 2 in Southampton Dock, she still looked as elegant and glamorous as ever. Yes, there were patches of rust on her hull, but that is hardly anything to be concerned about in my opinion. The ship has been out of service for almost 2 years. In fact, the entire Cunard fleet has only recently really come back into full swing. Even on this trip, it was the most amount of passengers that they have had since the ending of the pandemic, and I will go into details later about little things that were changed even on the voyage. Going into the Grand Lobby, which is the first place you will enter on the ship, it was awe-inspiring to see the Grand Lobby looking so immaculate. In fact, most of the main interior locations, such as the Queen's Ballroom, G32 nightclub, and the Royal Court Theatre, the Planetarium, they were all immaculate. In fact, as I do on every voyage that I go on, I take my little notebook around and I make notes about how the ship is doing or anything that I spot or anything like that because I'm eccentric. That, and I'm also completely obsessed with the history of the ocean liners. In saying that, there were certain locations where I did spot things. The Lido pool, for instance, does seem to have an excess amount of rust and moisture damage, which is only to be expected in a Lido pool, which does need touching up. I wasn't oblivious to that. In one of the corridors as well, there was a cover on the ceiling that had been removed for some reason and was not yet replaced. Now, yes, these aren't good on a Cunard ship. Cunard have very high standards, and they are seen as a luxury liner company. And so to see these things, it is saddening that this hasn't been corrected. However, every single day of that 6-night voyage, the crew were going about the ship, they were painting, repairing, they were screwing things back in place. They were trying to repair the ship and to make it back as it was before the pandemic while on that voyage. And I think that's something that a few people have spotted on other subsequent voyages. The crew are doing their best to get her back up to her usual standard. Not that her standard, in my opinion, has dropped all that much. There was just a few little things that, yes, it was sad to see, but no big deal. No big deal. So right now, the best decision for the company is to have the crew go around while on the voyages doing these works. And they are only minor, and they cause very little disruption to passenger comfort or enjoyment. In fact, I enjoyed seeing the crew going about the ship, painting and getting rid of rust and everything else. I enjoyed seeing that because it shows that the company is doing things to get the Queen Mary 2 back up to their usual high standard. One of the suggestions a passenger made to me was, why don't they dry dock the Queen Mary 2? Well, Cunard has to be very careful with how much of its fleet that they want to dry dock. It costs millions to get these refurbishments done, especially when you have to dry dock the ships. Now, at the moment, obviously, the Queen Victoria recently went into Belfast to have her refurbishment and be dry docked there. In fact, the Queen Victoria is the largest British liner ever to be dry docked in the UK. But to dry dock also the Queen Mary 2 so close after that, financially, it would probably not be the best decision. Now, please don't get me wrong. I do understand that every voyage is different and many passengers may have very, very different experiences to what I do. It may be that they have had bad service or they have had a bad experience. It may be that they have had to make complaints. And I totally understand that, totally. But from my perspective and my point of view, I can understand why the industry and why Cunard have certain things they need to correct. Now, I mentioned before that even on the voyages we were crossing over, that there were changes being made even then. Originally, in the King's Court buffet bar, there would be a crew member there who would serve you the drinks that you wanted. You requested the drinks, they passed you the cup, done. Now, originally, you could just go up and get your own drinks. Now, they had this in place throughout the first, I believe it was 3 days of the voyage, and then midway through the third day, the red ropes were taken away, and you were then allowed to get your own drinks and get your own stuff, which shows how even now the industry is still making changes. They are still, trying to catch up to get to back to normality, but the regulations are always changing. And I haven't written a script for this one, Babs and Babbets, because I just wanted to get a video out and a quick review video. But please do let me know if you've had any experiences in the comments below, because I would love to know whether they be good, whether they be bad. I would love to know how your experience have gone with Cunard on any of the vessels, Queen Elizabeth, Victoria, or Queen Mary 2. And it doesn't have to be the transatlantic crossing, it could be any of the voyages, because I want to know what your experiences were. But these were just my first thoughts. I loved the voyage, I loved being back on the Queen Mary 2, the crew were, to my mind, amazing, and I loved all of the passengers that I met on board during that gorgeous trip. I am going to have a bit of a montage at the end of the video, just showing off some of my pictures and videos that I took on board, and that way you can have a look and see if it's something you might be interested in, or whether it's something that it's not, or whether you think that the pictures defend what I'm saying, or go against what I'm saying. So I'll put a bit of a montage at the end of this video. As for now, Babs and Babbets, as always, keep calm, carry on, stay positive, and I shall see you next time. Tatty tatty bye, toodaloo, God save the Queen!
On the merry-go-round in an inhuman race. Fire blue, true is false, who is good? Lips, swallow down, ace of hearts, face of cloud. Faces, drink it in, drink it up, till you drown in the lights, in the sound, but who can name the face? Masquerade, ringing bells, ringing bells, masquerade, take your fill and the spectacle is done. Masquerade, burning glances, turning heads, masquerade, stop and stare at the sea of smiles around. Masquerade, see the shadows, really lights, masquerade, you can fool any friend.
proud, all the creme de la creme.
Watching us, watching them.
3 months of relief,
Of delight.
of Elysian peace. And we can breathe
No
at
more
last.
notes.
No more ghosts.
Here's a health.
Here's a toast to a prosperous year. To our friends who are here.
And may our spring but never fade.
What a blessed relief.
Flash of moat, splash of puce, fool and king, cool and goose, queen and knight, queen and priest, trace of rouge, trace of beast. Faces, take your turn, take a ride on the merry-go-round in an inhuman race. Fire blue, true is false, who is good, curl lip, swallow gown, ace of hearts, ace of crown. Faces, drink it in, drink it out, till you drown in the rise, in the sound, but who can name the face? What a night!
What a crowd. Makes you glad. Makes you proud, all the creme de la creme.
Watching us, watching them.
3 months of relief.
Of delight.
Of Elysian peace. And we can breathe
No
at
more
last.
notes.
No more ghosts.
Here's a health.
Here's a toast to a prosperous year. To our friends who are here.
And may our spring but never fade.
What a blessed release.
And with a masquerade.